Check this out. You're on official Rob Brown lockdown. Represent Cleveland Brady. Yeah. Unfiltered sports talk. Manufactured locally for the Carolinas. Lockdown. This is the Rob Brown Show. Get Rob. Only on the Fan Upstate.
And away we go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the Wednesday edition of the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. How's everybody? How was your Tuesday? I hope it treated you exceptionally well, and I hope you are ready to rock and roll on a Wednesday morning. My name is Rob Brown. The pleasure is mine. Despite the very aggressive yawn from the great one, Lonzo, I know, is just pumped, ready to rock and roll today. How you doing, big dog?
I'm fine. I'm struggling with breathing. I'm glad that you pointed that out. So, thanks to stomach discomfort.
Oh, it's not the same thing. We got a new thing today.
Well, it's still the other thing hanging on. Yes.
Got it.
Yes. So
do you want to get into what you told me happened to you this morning?
I don't care. I don't care because I am curious if other people have had similar circumstances and if they handled it differently, because I wouldn't say you chastised me, but
no, not at all. Because I don't know what the reaction would be.
You made me rethink what I had done. As if I hadn't already thought about that, but it was kind of too late.
So here's what it comes down to. And we'll tell you what the situation was here in a minute to see how you guys react to it. But Lonzo, when I go to restaurants, and I got this from my old man. When I go to restaurants, and I can't stop this thought. I've tried. I know that it's problematic. But when I go to restaurants and we go sit at tables, the seat that I choose at the table is always dictated by what my emergency escape plan is going to be if something pops off in the restaurant, right? If there's a fire, somebody comes in with a gun, whatever. Rob Brown has his whole, this is how I'm going to get me and the lady friend or whoever I'm with out of this restaurant. I've got my whole last action hero plan figured out in my head before I even take the chair. And then you come to the realization that you can have all the plans in the world, but as Mike Tyson said, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. You never know what the plan of attack, how you're going to respond if something happens, and if your plan of attack, if you're going to have the mental fortitude to go with it, right? Like, okay, if I sit here, I've got eyes on these doors. If somebody comes in that door, I'm going to flip the table this way. We're going to move that chair. We're going to go. If somebody comes in that door, I'm going to angle the table this way. We're going to get past that walkway over there. We're going to hit the kitchen door. We're out you got all these plans. You never know. Lonzo presented me with a situation this morning and asked how I would have handled it. And the answer is, I don't have a freaking clue. Because I've never in my life even considered this happening to me as a possibility.
All right, nor had I. I just want to point that out. So we've been in South Carolina for going on 26 years. So nearly half my life I've lived here. And I've lived in the woods. One thing I've never seen happened this morning. So it's about 5:45. I'm heading into the restroom because I'm regular. And that's how you start your day. And I peered at the throne, and something had visited the throne. So in the toilet was a floating mouse / rat. I mean, what's the difference? I don't know. Is it size that turns it from a mouse into a rat? Anyway, it's floating there dead in the toilet. Then I proceeded to emit a manly roar. I did not scream, because, I didn't hit the high pitch. It was more like, I'm getting ready to go to battle as a Viking warrior, that kind of yell, not the thing you guys are thinking of. And then I had a decision to make. So what do? You've got a floating rodent in your toilet. do you flush or do you fish? And I flushed. And after I flushed, I thought about how that was probably a bad idea because
did it go down on the first
it
flush?
did.
It did go down.
It
on
went
the first
down.
Flush.
We got some powerful turlets there, because yes, it went down on the first flush. So then I stood there pondering, okay, let's just go ahead and flush it again. Then let's go ahead and flush it again. And then finally, I'm going to the other restroom because then it's in your head. Even the slightest movement, even if, like a hair on your leg moves or something while you're on the throne, you're going to think that mouse is alive and swam back up. And I'm not quite sure if I'll get over this to the point where I can use that toilet again. I mean, we got another one. It isn't like it was the only one that we have. So, I mean, it's the more convenient off the master, it's in the master bathroom, but we've got another one and we're empty nesters now. I can just stroll over to the other side of the house and use the other one.
So Lonzo asked me how I would have handled that. And the answer is I genuinely do not know. Because it's not a situation I've even ever considered in my life. Now, I am from Florida originally, for those of you that don't know. And about once a month from the great sunshine state of Florida comes a story of somebody finding a live snake coming up through their toilet. And at least once a year in those once a month stories, somebody discovers said snake coming up through the toilet while they're sitting on the toilet. And so I can say that I have had my thoughts about how you handle a live snake coming up through the toilet. And, again, being from Florida and being exposed to this my entire life, I can for sure tell you that step number one for me is to figure out, all right, is it a poisonous snake or is it not, right? If it's just like a ball python or something, then you reach down there, you grab the snake, you get him out, you contain him, you call animal control. If it's a poisonous snake, no, I'm closing the lid, I'm standing on it, and I'm calling somebody to come get the whatever it is up out my toilet. But I haven't really run through the various other forms of wildlife that I might find swimming in the crapper when I go to do my morning movement, right? So I don't know how I'd handle that situation. I do know this. I would almost pay money to see how the lady friend would handle that situation should she beat me to the restroom. Because about 3 nights ago...
I was going to say blowtorch, flamethrower, what would it be?
Oh, no. It would still fall on me to handle it.
Okay.
I just want to see the response. About 3 nights ago, we're houseplant people. I have, as I've aged, fallen away from being cool. And now I am the proud owner of about 37 different like mine, not hers, my houseplants. And the other day she was moving our Christmas cactus from outside to inside, and she found a lizard inside and let out a shriek that led me to come running in nothing but the boxer shorts as I was getting prepped for bed to the front of the house thinking that she had just found a dead body on our couch or something. Nope, lizard.
Yeah, I don't get the fear of lizards. My wife's afraid of lizards too. If I found a lizard in my toilet, wouldn't bother me nearly as much as the mouse/rat.
So the answer of how would Rob Brown handle that is, I don't know. I will tell you that I would think off the top of my head, I'd be afraid to just go the flush route. Because the last thing I want to do is to either have to, A, try to use a plunger on a dead bloated mouse in my system, but more importantly, have to call the plumber Be like, there is dead wildlife in my pipes. Man, what have you been eating? No. It's actually dead. I don't know how I'd handle that.
Well, as far as that goes, because of where I live, I'm sure if things clogged up, it would not be unusual for any plumber that I called.
Skrilla says, I grew up poor, only had one bathroom, so I have seen various small things, dead or otherwise, and had to flush and go, bro. It's the South. Come on, Zoe.
Hey, I did
That's
flush.
what he did.
I did flush. I did that. And, a week or so from now, it will leave my mind and I'll go back to things as normal. Or I may go home today and go, you know what? Screw you, mouse. This is my toilet. It's not yours.
Establish dominance.
Exactly. And in a couple ways.
Luke said, snake in the toilet has been a fear since that episode of Highway to Heaven with Michael Landon. I don't know that show, nor that episode.
It's not a show you'd probably enjoy, but yeah.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. What I do know is that being from Florida, you don't need the TV show to get you afraid of snakes climbing up your plumbing. They just do that.
But I'm pretty sure that this mouse was / rat was dead, because when I flushed it, there was no movement. It just went to its watery grave.
Here's my question, and I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Had you known the mouse was alive, would it have changed your course of action? Or would you have been like, good luck in the septic tank, big dog?
Yeah, I still would have flushed.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, I would have.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got a lot to get to on the radio broadcast today. Coming up during the course of the show, the conversation or lack thereof regarding the interaction between Shane Beamer and the station's Twitter account, which takes place on Friday. I'm not going to get back into that. I think we pretty much put that conversation to bed. I will tell you that yesterday afternoon, I reached out directly to the South Carolina Public Information Department, scratch that, to the Sports Information Department in Columbia, and left them not one but two separate voicemails inviting Shane or an SID on the show, on the station, to kind of address what happened and just have a talk, right? Talk about last season, talk about this season, talk about recruiting, transfer portal, really just to get a state of the program on. I left that voicemail yesterday. I have not had a response yet, but it is recruiting season. The transfer portal deadline for entry is today. So there are, I'm assuming, going to be a handful of players that are going to hit the portal today. And I know that the Gamecocks are going to be rifling through the papers of the teams, or the players in the portal, mainly because they thought they had a portal target lined up to add to their pass rushing abilities next year. And it appears that that player has not yet enrolled at South Carolina. Today is also the last day, if I read the dates correctly. Today is the last day that players can enroll and attend a class at South Carolina and have their grades count, which obviously is a prerequisite to playing college football, is the college part. So if that player from Mizzou does not come through, we'll talk about it later in the show, South Carolina's going to have a real problem in the pass rush game next year, which leads me to believe that Shane and co. are going to be pouring through the players in the portal today to see if they can find a quality pass rusher somewhere to enter. And I am sure there will be more players hitting the portal today, because there were about 6 that hit the portal yesterday, including a Miami quarterback. And while it is not the portal, a Florida Gator player that signed a national letter of intent is now asking for a release from that NIL. Why? From that letter of intent, because he had an NIL deal fall through. He signed with Florida under the premise of having an NIL deal in place when he reached Gainesville. That NIL deal now no longer exists, And now he wants out of Gainesville because of that. We're going to talk about that situation later on in the show as well. But to circle back around to where this started, I am sure that we will not be getting a response today and probably not tomorrow from the sports information, the sports information department and the PR department for USC football, because I expect that every coach is going to be putting the time in, checking out the portal, looking at recruits, getting lined up for February's National Signing Day, etc. But I am hoping that by the end of the week, we will be able to tell you that we either have an interview with Shane or we don't, that they've rejected that offer. I will let you know when I get it. But in thinking about all of that situation between Shane and the station, Shane and Mark Ryan, et cetera, I kind of started thinking about some of the differences in the way that Shane is running his program versus the difference in the way that Dabo is running his. And mentally comparing and contrasting those two head coaches and where those two programs are right now in terms of the way that the head coaches defend them, promote them, etc. And I want to get into that later in the show. Coming up at 10 o'clock today. Yesterday, Lonzo and I laid down the most recent edition of the Views from Mid Street podcast, available where major podcasts are found. You can find it for free on the Odyssey app, on Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, or Apple iTunes. And we got to talking about Sean Payton. And could Sean Payton end up being the head coach of the Carolina Panthers next year? And the more I thought about it yesterday, the more I'm starting to think, not only is it a possibility, but I genuinely think that it makes perfect sense. And how if Sean Payton ends up there, that especially with Derek Carr and Aaron Rodgers both, well, Derek Carr definitely leaving Las Vegas. Aaron Rodgers is once again teasing his departure from Green Bay. He was on McAfee's show yesterday. I'll tell you some of the things that he had to say. Lamar Jackson had some social media comments after the Ravens loss this weekend that lead me to believe that he will either be a free agent or will be a restricted free agent who is franchise tag next year, in which case he'll probably do one more with Baltimore and be done. Unless you can get a guaranteed rate out of a more successful quarterback, Payton and Brady for 1 year in Carolina actually makes perfect sense. I get on Twitter this morning to see that Jake Crane of Crane & Co., who has picked up a large social media following over the past year and a half or so, tweeted out, Sean Payton to Carolina makes perfect sense. My response was, oh my goodness, if only there had been somebody saying that for the last 4 weeks and getting laughed at for it. The closer we get, the more it makes sense. And coming up at 10 o'clock, I will tell you why. So we got a lot of stuff to get into on the radio broadcast today. When we come back here in just a minute, I want to talk a little bit about the difference in the behaviors as a head coach externally of Shane Beamer and Dabo Swinney. One of them is not necessarily better than the other, although I can pretty much accurately predict that about half of you will say that one is definitely better than the other. Let's address that when we come back. My name is Rob Brown. Directly across from me is the great one, Lonzo. Your phone calls are welcome at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. You can text us on the radio broadcast at 71307, 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N, FAN, F-A-N. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, got a live read. We'll be right back. Do not go nowhere. All right, we are back, everybody.
They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have
Kevin,
world conversations. Things you'll
I hope I never have to answer that question.
Incredible.
That's my answer to that question is I hope I never have to answer that question.
Conversation in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even
Why would you go to a restroom at Taco Bell?
Why would you what?
Go to the restroom at Taco Bell.
I'm saying if you're at, I think he's saying if you're at home, if you're in the middle of drunken munchies, Taco Bell dump.
Okay, well, I can guarantee I will never be in that position. So
Non-stop coverage from the biggest sports radio stations in the country. Podcasts dedicated to each NFL team and postseason games streaming live for free. Your playoffs, your Odyssey. Get in the game and download the free Odyssey app today.
Sponsored by Corley Plumbing, Air and Electric.
At Corley Plumbing,
Tara's live feed just showed up on my Twitter. That is a good looking setup. I think I might move that chair though.
CorleyPro.com. That's CorleyPro.com. Now CBS Sports Radio.
On your radio at 97.7 FM, 1330 AM, Greenville, 97.1 FM.
Especially the banner in the foreground. It's
Yeah.
right close. It just looks really cool.
Your smart speaker. Just say play 97 The Fan Upstate. On your HD radio at WFBC HD3. There's just one more thing. And on your computer at The Fan.
FanUpstate.com.
Get in the game on the Rob Brown Show.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Lonzo and you. 844 FANFONE 844-326-3663. So, after the dust up between Shano and the Fan, which, as I mentioned yesterday, I've got exactly zero ill will towards Shane Beamer for. His program was attacked. He defended his program. Sometimes you've got to look at things that you love, things that you care about, and go, they screwed up. I feel like that tweet was directed a certain way, and I feel like Shane defended his program. I'm going to tell you right now and for sure that just like if somebody attacks the Fan Upstate, attacks my show, attacks Mark's show, attacks Lonzo, attacks Diesel, we're going to defend our program, right? Because we love and care about our baby. Shane's the same way. But it led to a conversation, or at least for me anyway, it led to some thought about the differences between Shane Beamer and Dabo Swinney and the way that they handle situations like this. Dabo, for the most part, I think if the same situation went the other way, likely would not have responded. And Dabo keeps the focus on what's happening in-house, right? He's always going to respond to that with something good about what's going on in his program. You're shaking your head. You disagree?
Yeah, there have been too many instances. You haven't been here that long, so you don't. I mean, haven't covered Dabo for that long. But there's some video evidence of him going off on being told something without even finding out if it was true or not. Yeah.
Sure.
And it usually has something to do with South Carolina.
And I was going to go that direction because I got a tweet from our boy Diddy yesterday. And Diddy said something very similar. In fact, let me go back to yesterday's tweets and pull it up. But Diddy tweeted into the show and said something very similar. He said something to the tune of, Here it is. Saban, Dabo, and the rest have done this for years, but they've done it by flaming the second-rate shows in their pressers rather than on Twitter. Beamer is just the new generation. I know because you and I have had conversations about Nick Saban doing exactly this in the past, right? You and I have had conversations about Nick Saban taking questions that he feels are an attack on him or on his program and responding aggressively in press conferences. And my reaction has been kind of in the similar vein, right? Like, hey, man, if you ask a question, and I've gotten on to media members for doing this before, if you open a question with, Coach, some people are saying that, don't be shocked if the coach hits you back, right? My question, anytime that somebody starts a discussion with, well, some people are saying, my response is always the same. Who? What people? What people are saying that? What people of consequence are saying what you're saying? Because I think a lot of the time, those things are, those words are used as a way for somebody to thinly veil that is their opinion, right? Instead of just taking ownership and going, hey, coach, so-and-so from the so-and-so news here, I think that. It's easier to go, some people are saying that. The tweet Beamer was responding to was not some people are saying, it was, hey, this radio station is saying that, right? Do I think that Dabo has responded with some level of snark in person before? Yes, but as I've mentioned, the difference here is that doing it in a press conference is going to reach a few thousand people, right? Because I want you to think about it. How many of y'all, sincerely, how many of y'all take the time to go watch through coach press conferences? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm in the media, right? I watch press conferences after games because I'm a nerd, but I'm also in the media. How many of y'all take the time after a game, or especially in the off season, to watch through your coach's press conferences? A few of you? Right? A pretty small population of you. When was Dabo Swinney's last press conference? When was Shane Beamer's last press conference? The guy we're talking about. When was your head coach's last press conference? The overwhelming majority of you do not know. How many of y'all that have social media follow your college football program on it? I'd be willing to bet a majority of folks listening to this station right now, listening to this show, a majority of y'all, A, have social media, and B, follow your team on it. Lonzo, do you follow the Ohio State Buckeyes on Twitter?
Yes.
Yeah, of course you do. Of course you do. Attacking back on social media opens your message up to a wider variety of people. It opens your media up to recruits that maybe aren't following everything that you say in the traditional routes. It opens what you have to say up to fans that probably don't follow you through your press conferences, right? Those fans are being exposed to those viewpoints, but very frequently not to the follow-up. If there is a conversation about criticism, Clemson, right? Let's use them as an example since we're using South Carolina as one as well. There was a lot of discussion about the coordinator's position at Clemson. There was a lot of discussion about the disappointment in the coordinators this year at Clemson. There was a lot of discussion about the fallout of Dabo deciding to go with Dabo guys from inside the program instead of getting outside hires, named hires. That conversation was prevalent on social media. I know that because I engaged with it. How many discussions about Dabo's response to that have you heard? Maybe if you're really tuned in, a couple. Maybe if you're really tuned in, a couple.
Well, and I don't listen to shows that talk exclusively about Clemson. So
Sure.
if I did, I probably would hear that.
Sure. Even if you do, maybe you heard it referenced a time or two. And that's if you really go search this stuff out. How many people saw, as we mentioned yesterday, how many people saw what Shane Beamer had to say in direct relation to a conversation that was taking place regarding Shane Beamer? As of right now, and as we mentioned yesterday on the show, the tweet he sent out has 2.8 million views. This is all about preferred method of communication. Now, hitting your fans with a message does not necessarily mean that that message is good or bad, does not mean that that message is effective or not. It just means they're seeing it. Dabo has a more traditional way of running the program. I'm not saying that non-traditional is better. I'm saying it's different. When Dabo sees that there is fan criticism of the program, he addresses it in the traditional routes. Press conferences, statements from the university, et cetera, et cetera. Shane, on the other hand, has very clearly decided that he is going to hammer back. He is going to hammer back at whoever is criticizing, including this radio station, via social media. That's how he's going to do it. And the message is being seen and heard by more people. The point of what Shane was doing was not to clap back at, it was to clap back at the radio station, but the point wasn't the clap back. The point was that Shane Beamer wanted to galvanize Gamecock fans. The point was that Shane Beamer wanted to rally Gamecock fans. He wanted to give them what we in the business call red meat. Lonzo and I have probably both been hearing the phrase red meat in radio for 1,000 years. Combined experience. That's how much we have. Red meat is fan service, right? In movies, they call it fan service. It is when you do or say something in entertainment. Because at the end of the day, college football, though it is a billion-dollar industry, is more than anything else, entertainment. That's what it is. We tune in to be entertained. In the entertainment business, red meat is when you do something that really serves no purpose other than to get your fan base hyped up about something, right? When you are watching a movie that, let's say it's based on a throwback. Let's say I watched Wednesday on Netflix, which is a spinoff, a new age contemporary spinoff of the Addams Family, right? And Wednesday is basically a teen murder mystery with monsters. That's the whole point. It was written, it's got a very teenage, a very juvenile writing style because it's designed for young people. I, as a grown man, watched this show with the lady friend for one reason, Lonzo, because I love the Addams Family. Always have. Whenever there's a point in this show where there's like a secret room that the main characters have to get into and they're trying to figure out what the password is. And it turns out that the password to get in this room is 2 snaps. Now, in the grand scheme of things, that would be a dumb password. Why was it 2 snaps? Fan service. Because of the Addams family. Ba-da-da-da. 2 snaps is the Addams family. That's red meat. That's fan service. That's for people like me watching the show who love the old Addams family stuff to go, hey, I know that. That's red meat. In sports, especially in sports entertainment, like what Lonzo and I do, red meat is when we come on and go, Gamecocks rule. Tigers are amazing. It doesn't serve a purpose. We're not conveying any information. We're not making your day better with that conversation. We're just giving you something to listen to and go, that's my team. That's my team. Yay, my team. That's red meat. Shane Beamer, correctly and intelligently so, is just throwing red meat to the base. Because while a 9-3 season with wins over Tennessee and Clemson to end the year is amazing, let's be honest here, what is the best thing that South Carolina has going for it right now? We talked about this after they lost to Notre Dame in the bowl game. I came in here the first day back after the bowl game, and what did I say was the big win for South Carolina despite an L in the bowl game? Did the L help them? No, not really. Did anybody's individual performance stand out? No, not really. What did I say was the big win? South Carolina fans took over Jacksonville. When they were talking about this game, they talked about Sandstorm. They talked about the towels waving. They talked about the fact that about 80% of that stadium was garnet and black, that they out-traveled Notre Dame, that they turned Jacksonville for a day into Columbia South. If you are watching that as an outsider of the program, specifically as a recruit who might have South Carolina in their Final 7, Final 5, Final 4, whatever, and playing in front of a rabid fan base attracts you, South Carolina came out of that bowl game smelling like roses. South Carolina's fans being rabid, even when the team wasn't good, but now certainly that it's on an upward trajectory, is the best thing that the Gamecocks have going for them. Hands down, bar none, the best thing they have is a fan base that is eating them up right now. So what did Shane do? Shane threw them some red meat to keep them eating, to keep them excited, to keep them hype. That's what Shane did. Dabo does the other thing. Dabo is not necessary. Clemson right now is not necessary. I mean, the fans are obviously important to Clemson. But the best thing that Clemson has going for it right now is the culture within the program, right? About being family, about being all in, about faith being a major factor of that program, about being connectedness with the other folks wearing the tiger paw. It is less about the rabid intensity of the fan base, like South Carolina, and it is more about the connectedness, the family feel, the faith-based side of that program. If you are trying to get players attracted to that, it works. And so Dabo coming out, throwing out red meat and attacking people doesn't do anything for his fans. It doesn't help him. What does help him is when his fans talk about how special the program is, how classy the program is, how connected the program is. It's a different way of communicating because the core values at the center of the program are different than the main value that Shane Beamer has going amongst fans in his fan base right now. So Shane is, of course, going to operate and communicate differently than Dabo does because they are driving and centering their program around something different from each other. That's why Shane reacted the way he reacted, and I don't have a problem with it. That is why if Dabo did anything else, I wouldn't have a problem with that either, because it is not, one is not better than the other. It is part of the culture of the program, and no two cultured programs are going to be similar to each other. It would be boring if they were. Let's take a break. I want your thoughts on that. 844-326-3663. Text us at 71307. Start your text with Fan FN. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. All right, kids, we're back.
Polo suits, and so much more. There's nothing quite like surprising your sweetheart with a new getup that has you looking your best. Check out their collection today at smithandjames.com and stop by their stores at 222 Trade Street in Greer or at their new location on Verde Boulevard.
Yeah, Mark called in sick yesterday.
You are not supposed to say that because of, HIPAA and stuff.
Mark was out yesterday.
There we go.
I think you can say. I just don't. I don't think you can get into what it is, but I think you can say. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer.
I err on the side of just not.
Fair enough.
The mystery's more interesting, Rob. I just did it. Yeah.
Granted, I'm wearing a hockey jersey, but it's warm in here.
Yeah.
Dope hockey jersey, though, right? Absolutely nerded out today. No, there were no fish delivered to the station that I'm aware of.
If there were, it's downstairs because no one ever tells us anything.
Correct.
So, I mean, I had to stop the cardio halfway through because I couldn't breathe right.
That's bad.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, well.
I think I'm just really gassy.
If you order now, you'll receive a free collector bonus over a $10 value free with every order. Call 1-800-969-0686 now.
I don't know. You're asking Rob for relation advice when it comes to a sporting event. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Got to weigh it as possible once in a lifetime, experience. I don't know. That's just morbid, Josh. Why a cat? Once again, Kevin, when I think you can't get any more
I don't even know what he said.
down that road, you one up yourself. Have you ever written something and went, wait, that was just too far?
Texter said, Rob, I feel like a damn piranha eating this red meat up. I'm getting excited for next year as you're talking about it on the radio. Feels like a sugar rush in my chest, but they talked about a different substance than sugar. Texter, don't do that. Come on, man. You can get yourself in trouble, not me. All right. So we have been talking, obviously, about the differences in communication between the way that Shane handles business, the way that Dabo handles business. And listen, I use Shane and Dabo, obviously, because those are the two programs that we cover most closely. But every coach and every program is going to handle their business a different way. Why? Because they're different people. Every time that a coach gets hired, and I'm talking at every level of football, I'm talking at the NFL level, I'm talking at the college level, at every level of football, culture is key. We have been talking about the Carolina Panthers and their quest for a new head coach for a while. And one of the things that we have discussed very frequently is the culture. One of the reasons that I've said that I believe that Steve Wilks has a leg up on the gig is because Steve Wilks has built a culture at Carolina for the Panthers that the players have bought into, right? Now, does that mean that Wilks can coach? Not necessarily. I don't know. I don't know if he can coach or not. I have seen some things that say yes. I have seen some things that say no. That is part of the reason they do interviews. That's part of the reason you rely on previous experience, et cetera, et cetera. But what I do know is that step one is building a culture, and Wilks did that in Carolina. Now we argue over whether he can coach or not. I would argue to some degree Shane Beamer's kind of in the same boat, right? You can build a damn good culture that gets you some pretty good athletes to carry you to 9-3 every year. The question is, can you find the exceptional culture, this coaching, pardon me. The question is, can you find the exceptional coaching that takes you from 9-3 to 11-1? That takes you from 9-3 to 12-0. Can you coach over the Mizzou game, the Florida game, the games that South Carolina got beat this year? The Mizzou game from last year, obviously, but the Mizzou game, the Florida game, you got to coach those games to do better. Shane Beamer's very clearly built a culture that's got a group of guys wearing the block C on the side of the helmet that wanted to come out and win at Clemson and gave you the best, to win at Tennessee and gave you the best. But you got to be able to coach better than those Florida games. That is the next step for Shane Beamer and his Gamecocks of South Carolina program. Dabo very clearly over the years has been able to coach his team exceptionally on top of building a very good culture. The argument has been, and I saw it written in an article about Shane Beamer earlier today, an article that was discussing our situation. But I saw the article in which it was written, it is hard to believe that Columbia, South Carolina is a place where a top-tier college football program like Clemson's could exist. And my question was, why? Just because it hasn't been done doesn't mean it can't be done. They've got the facilities. They've got access to the same recruiting inroads that Clemson does, especially now that recruiting is a national game. I don't believe that. But step one of creating that reality is the culture. And you may not like the way that Shane is building the culture at South Carolina. There's a lot of people that thought that Shane attacking the station was inappropriate for a man in the position that he's in. I got news for you. It does not matter how you feel about the culture. All that matters is that the kids buy into it. I present to you, ladies and gentlemen, the late 80s and early 90s Miami Hurricanes. That culture sucked, if you ask me, but they got some rings to show for it. Randy Shannon went to Miami, built a culture I would have been proud of having my program have. No kids arrested, every kid graduating. But you know what they didn't do? Win. And it cost him his job. Let's take a break. We'll come back. Hour number 2. Got to get some NFL talk in and a whole lot more on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
I assumed that was a robocall.
I got you.
It was not. Fans of certain shows, they have like an attitude.
I mean,
Like-
you're obviously not talking about anybody
Well,
specific.
Like they're better than everybody else. And so they come across that way. My job is to fuel the theater of the mind. It's not to
The theater of the mind.
it's not to help your emotions.
Let's face it.
Best way to find out is to tune back in later.
I order takeout. Here's my card. And most
Or were they asking about the situation?
credit card charge is a necessary evil.
I think I was perfectly clear in what I
Fair enough.
said, but you know,
Consolidation loan from LifeStream from $5,000 to $100,000. And
Fair enough.
credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR.
if you think I'm going to try to hide something, then I'm going to make you think that I'm trying to hide something. I mean, that's what you want me to do anyway. I'm going to do it for you because I'm there for you, caller.
I'm there for you, caller.
The best upstate deal on golf is back and on sale now. A 2023 Upstate Golf Card gets you a round of golf at 9 premier upstate courses, and it's still only $99. Grab your foursome.
Also, if you call with kind of an attitude, don't expect me to just be oh gee, let me tell you what you want.
Oh, gee. Jeez.
Tune in this week to kick off with Boomer and Blanket, where they break down all the headlines in the NFL. Brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's knows everyone hates cold, soggy fries, so they've changed theirs to serve them up hot and crispy, guaranteed. If yours aren't, then bring it back and they'll replace them at participating U.S. Wendy's.
Save now on appliances and more at the truckload event at Lowe's. Get deals on select major appliances and take home what you buy same day. And save an additional 10% on all in-store.
You're really going Quado. That weird dude had like a thing in his stomach. Ugh, that was wild. By the way, Kevin, I think you were just late to the thing. It was actually a mouse/rat because I still don't know. I don't know the difference between a mouse and a rat.
What's up, buddy? How you doing? Good, good, good. Yay. Isn't this like set number 4 since I've been?
No, we've never had new blinds.
Have
Since
they?
the beginning of the building.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Okay. Well,
Now, there were other blinds that were installed in other rooms in the building. This room is
well,
you guys up.
the
We came in and measured a while ago. That may be
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
The good news here is it shows to you my incredible attention to detail.
So I will continue to say this the entire show. I don't know the difference between a mouse and a rat. I'm waiting for someone to explain it to me. Can a mouse turn into a rat, or are they just totally different? I mean, of the same species, but I don't know. I should ask Chris if he wasn't.
Working. What a jerk.
Nah, if he wasn't, if he didn't have a guest with him, because it might have taken him a while to explain to me the difference. It's probably easier mentally to think a mouse's final form is a rat. Okay. Thank you for taking it somewhere where I would get it. So a mouse goes Super Saiyan and turns into a rat.
Rats are larger and heavier, while mice have smaller, slender bodies. Mice also have long, slender tails covered in hair compared to rat tails, which are shorter, thicker, and hairless.
Okay, so could you now tell the difference?
I mean, I can tell you the difference between a rat and a mouse because I have owned both as pets.
Okay. All right. No, Joseph, I don't think so, but whatever. Master Splinter's son. Okay. So you're saying I flushed Master Splinter's son.
Our numerous of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Use of the tactical cough button is coming up clutch today. Glad to have you guys back in. I am Rob Brown. My name is, I just said my name is Rob Brown. I'm struggling today. The old brain is just like, like in the cartoons where they show the inside of the skull and there's two gears working together and then like there's like a rock in there. That's me. It's just me this week. Just trying to get my life together. All right.
Yeah, but at least we're here. So there's that.
And happy to be here.
That would describe us both perfectly.
Happy to be. I'm just here so I don't get fined. All right. I want to get into this discussion, and I want to get into this discussion out of the gate. For the past 3 or 4 weeks, Rob Brown has been trying to tell you that Tom Brady and Sean Payton to Carolina was not just a possibility.
No, stop it.
But that it was a strong probability.
I'm waiting for you to say inevitability.
I do not think it's inevitable.
It's inevitable. No, it's not.
I do not think it is inevitable. But I think that the probability has grown dramatically. And I think that the comfort with the possibility is becoming more of a reality.
Wait. Did you say comfort with the possibility?
Yeah, there was another half of that sentence coming.
Okay, because, all right.
Not for the great one, but for those who have to scratch the paycheck. Tom Brady and Sean Payton to Carolina isn't just a possibility. It is now a possibility that makes perfect sense. Here's why. I want you to think about it. I'm going to lay out a couple of arguments, and then I want your response. Let's start with Sean Payton, because I think that is the key to Tom Brady. Sean Payton is everything that Carolina Panthers. Let me start that sentence again, because again, rocking the gears. Sean Payton is everything in a head coach that Carolina Panther fans have been telling me that they want. He is a guy with experience. He is a guy that has run a ball club successfully as its head coach. He is a guy that has won. He has a Super Bowl ring. He should have coached in 2 Super Bowls if it were not for the worst missed pass interference call in the history of football.
There it is. If you were wondering when in 2023 it would be mentioned, we made it. What's the date today? January 18th. 18 days.
I can go ahead and tell you it's going to come up a few more times.
We know.
Okay. If it weren't for that call, he would have coached in 2 Super Bowls. And based on the performance of the Rams in that Super Bowl, he might have 2 Lombardis instead of 1. But that's another discussion for another time. Sean Payton is an offensive-minded coach. And Sean Payton, during his time in New Orleans, consistently, and granted, he did have a Hall of Fame quarterback to help him with this. But during his time in New Orleans, Sean Payton consistently took average players and turned them into guys whose names were on the NFL's map. Do you ever know who Lance Moore is without Sean Payton? Probably not. Do you ever know who Kenny Stills is without Sean Payton? Maybe. But everywhere he went after he left New Orleans, wasn't the same guy. Same is true of Lance Moore. Pierre Thomas was a massive influence on the Saints Super Bowl win. What would a Pierre Thomas have been without Sean Payton? Probably not all that much. The guy consistently and reliably took second-tier NFL players and made them look like first-tier NFL players, and took third-tier NFL players and made them look like other teams would take gambles on them. Stand by that. Yes, I know he had Drew Brees to help him out. But that leads to part number 2 of the conversation. I don't think it will come to any great surprise for any of you, for any of you to learn that Tom Brady is a little bit frustrated at the way that the season went for the Buccaneers of Tampa Bay this year. Part of the reason is because they went with a defensive coordinator as their head coach, Todd Bowles. That did not work out, and the Tampa Bay offense without Bruce Arians looked like garbage. With Bruce Arians, an offensive-minded coach who was known for his ability to work with a quarterback, Tampa Bay's offense last year was a couple of bad snaps in the playoffs away from playing for back-to-back Lombardis. Sean Payton is what Bruce Arians was. Sean Payton, under a headset, is exactly the type of coach that Tom Brady, should he decide to leave Tampa, and I suspect heavily that he will be looking to finish his career out under. Carolina has one major piece of the puzzle missing. That's quarterback. Their options right now are Derek Carr. Lamar Jackson is not going to be available. The Ravens will franchise tag him. So the Panthers' options are Derek Carr, Daniel Jones, Sam Darnold, Matt Corral, or Tom Brady. Now, you can make the argument that Danny Dimes looked much better this year, and he did. And I think we can chalk that up now after seeing what Brian Daboll has done in New York. Now that the Giants are into the divisional round of the playoffs the year after they sucked with Danny Dimes, I can make the argument that Danny Dimes can be directly attributed to coaching. Danny Dimes this past weekend, in a Giants win in the wild card round, earned a paycheck next year. I suspect Brian Daboll and the G-Men, despite being bidded against heavily by the rest of the league for Daniel Jones, will bring Danny Dimes back. I think he's off the table. Lamar's off the table. Danny Dimes is on the table. The quarterback is off the table. The quarterbacks that are on the table right now are Sam Darnold, Derek Carr, Matt Corral, and who? Tom Brady.
Aaron Rodgers.
I'm not entirely sure Aaron Rodgers is leaving Green Bay. He did the exact same song and dance last year.
I just, I can put my Tom Brady dislike aside. I absolutely can. Don't think he's a good person. But what it comes down to is he's 45 years old. And you can go statistically, he looked really good last year. That's fine. But if you're bringing in a coach like Sean Payton, you're looking to the future. You're not looking to now. Are the Panthers a quarterback away from going to the Super Bowl?
The Panthers are, and I made this argument on the Views from Mint Street podcast a couple of weeks ago.
They're not.
The Panthers are a quarterback and a head coach away.
No way.
From joining the next tier.
Not a quarterback away. No way. You need more than that. And what I'm saying is you don't bring Tom Brady in and suddenly you're a contender. It's just not happening. He's too old. He's done. I would rather see the team build for the future
around
than bring around a drafted quarterback or Matt Corral or somebody else other than Tom Brady, because Tom Brady, it's not going to work
for 1 year.
Plus Tom Brady's not coming.
You're not getting CJ Stroud. You're not without giving away a haul of picks. You're not getting CJ Stroud. You're not getting Bryce Young because Houston's going to take him at number 2. So what quarterback in this draft would you want to grow your team around? Because to me, there's not one. Okay? There's not one. Do you want to grow your team around Derek Carr? Is Derek Carr a guy that you grow the team around at 31 years old?
I want to grow my team around a younger quarterback.
I don't disagree.
Not a 45-year-old guy who you're bringing in for 1 year, and that's it.
Let's talk about next year. If you want to grow your team around a quarterback, I completely agree. Tom Brady gives you 1 more year to find that guy. There is no need to just grab a dude, not the dude, a dude. There is no need to just find a dude, throw him under center next year and go, that's the guy we're building around. Tom Brady gives you a bridge year to find the dude that you are going to do that with, and provides you 1 year of a guy with more experience than anybody else maybe ever to show the dude 1 year how to do this.
There is only one place where it makes sense for Tom Brady to go, and it's not going to happen because of what Brock Purdy's doing. There's only one team that he could go to and win a Super Bowl, and that's San Francisco. He's not going to win a Super Bowl with anybody else. And if you're not bringing him in to win a Super Bowl, then it's a waste of time.
Well, here's the thing. When I talk about this, I am not just talking about bringing Brady in. I'm talking about bringing Sean Payton and Tom Brady in. Tom Brady at one point was projected to be the next quarterback of the New Orleans Saints, remember. Before he left New England, well, when he was in the process of leaving New England, there was a long discussion about teams that Tom Brady would end up at. At one point, the New Orleans Saints were the Las Vegas odds-on favorites to land Tom Brady. Why? Sean Payton. And the roster that was constructed in New Orleans at that point was not much better than the one that's put together in Carolina right now. So if Sean Payton comes in with the offensive mindset, and by the way, brings likely Vic Fangio with him. Vic Fangio, the former Denver Broncos head coach, who the Broncos offense sucked when Fangio was in charge, but the Broncos defenses were pretty damn good when Vic Fangio was the head coach there. So Sean Payton comes in with an offensive mastermind. He brings in a defensive coordinator who's put together really good defenses to take over a Carolina Panther defense that's got the talent to be excellent. They blew apart at certain parts last season, but they got the roster talent to be good. So Payton comes in with his mindset, a guy that Tom Brady at one point was very clearly willing to work with when he was with New Orleans. You pair up Payton, one of the consensus, this is not Rob Brown saying this is consensus of the league. One of the most respected offensive minds in the game in Sean Payton. You pair him up with a Tom Brady who is going to give you everything he's got for one last run at a ring. He's got a good set of wide receiver skill talent around him, led by DJ Moore, who is putting up 1,000-yard seasons consistently. with a good running back game, with an offensive line that, with the exception of the Pittsburgh game and the Tampa game, played pretty damn well for the most part. And Tom Brady's biggest complaint leaving Tampa, what did he say in the press conference? Could have had a better offensive line out there. You've given him an answer to his chief complaint. They bring a defensive coordinator who's going to know how to work with the talent. I agree with you that you don't build a team around a 46-year-old Tom Brady. Nobody's arguing that you do. What I am saying is next year, the dude is not there for Carolina. Unless you are convinced that Derek Carr is the dude ain't available. CJ Stroud could be the dude, but if you want CJ Stroud, you don't have a choice but to move up to the number 1 overall pick. That is going to cost you the majority of what you have right now. Are you that committed to CJ Stroud as the dude? I'm not. He's good. He's really good. But I'm not committed enough to give away 2 years worth of picks to get him. So I need a 1-year stopgap. And by the way, what happens at the end of next year if, and this is the guy that I'd like long term, it's a pipe dream, I acknowledge, but what happens at the end of next year if the relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens goes sour? They will franchise tag him for next year. And if they franchise tag him, Lamar is gone the year after that. Lamar Jackson is a dude I would build my team around moving forward. So you got Brady for a stopgap year. He is just a dude to hold that place, not a dude, a really good quarterback to hold that place for 1 year, to open up the options to find the guy you are going to build around long term. And Tom Brady only comes if Sean Payton is there. Now, if you're Sean, who is going to meet with David Tepper on Friday, according to my understanding, if you were Sean Payton and you are going to meet with David Tepper on Friday, Sean Payton has said repeatedly he only wants to coach a contender, which makes sense. But think about this. All the jobs that Sean Payton is reported to want, they're not open. They're not open. The Chargers job is not open. Brandon Staley fired his offensive coordinator the day after they gave up a 27-point lead to the Jags, which means Brandon Staley is staying. Sean McVay has decided that he is going to come back for another year in Los Angeles. That job is not open. He wanted to be on the West Coast. Obviously, the San Francisco 49ers are not making a change. The Dallas job was the most likely job. But then Mike McCarthy and the Cowboys went out and beat the hell out of the Buccaneers this weekend. That job cannot come open now unless the Cowboys lose by 50 this weekend, which I don't suspect they're going to. So the Dallas job is now not open. What job is available right now that is most likely ready to take the next step? Denver, with Russell Wilson's bloated contract, and while I have talked up Russ because after Nathaniel Hackett left, Russell Wilson looked much better, you still don't have a ton of cap room in Denver to make any other moves. Arizona, where every report coming out of Arizona, fair or not, I don't know. But you've got former Cardinals players saying that Kyler Murray is a monster to work with, that by giving him the contract they gave him, the Cardinals made Kyler Murray's head as big as his actual body. You want that job? Probably not. Carolina is a team that has a lot of offensive skill talent, that has a very good defense. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Indianapolis. Indianapolis is not good. Carolina has the easiest path to win a division next year. The Saints are going to suck next year. The Falcons are also trying to land a quarterback. But does anybody really truly trust Atlanta right now? I don't know about that. They're still Atlanta until they prove they're not. And the Bucs losing Brady are going to lose an influx of talent as well. The NFC South will be easier to win than the AFC South next year. He's got skill talent. He's got a good defense. He brings with him a defensive coordinator, so he doesn't even have to worry about the defense. All that job needs is a quarterback. And Carolina, though it's on the East Coast and not the West, is every bit the job that the Chargers were, a job that Sean Payton reportedly wanted, that the Rams were, a job that Sean Payton reportedly wanted. They're a better job than Denver, than Arizona, than Indianapolis. And if you're David Tepper, you can go on a three-way call right now with Sean Payton and Tom Brady and go, guys, I am looking to take this program to the next level. Tom, if you want one more year and you want it with a coach who knows how to masterclass run an offense, Sean's the guy. Sean, if you are looking to come back to a team that is laden with talent and with a quarterback, Tom, I will sign you both to fat contracts. I will make you, Sean Payton, the highest paid NFL head coach. Tom Brady, I will give you a one-year deal that makes your socks fall off if you guys will give me one run at the division next year. Both of them are interested in playing with each other. That's why Tom Brady was almost a Saint 3 years ago. The connection's already there. All you got to do is scratch the check. Everything about it lines up and makes perfect sense.
All right. In the scheme of things, the Panthers could care less about this, but I'm going to reiterate, I'm going to say again repeatedly that if Tom Brady becomes a Carolina Panther, I will put all my Panther stuff away and will not be a Panther fan until he's gone. And I will stick to that. And I will not speak favorably of the Panthers or them at all unless I'm forced to. It's ridiculous, even the thought of it. And it's just not going to happen.
That's on you. I, on the other hand, want every team in the Carolinas to be good.
Yeah, me too, which is why Tom Brady should not go to Carolina Panthers.
All right, let me get Jay in here real quick before we take a break. He wants to talk a little bit about this. Jay, what's up, big dog? Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Sean Payton is a morally bankrupt human being. He has no business being a head coach anywhere, and I certainly, as a Carolina Panthers fan, do not want him in Carolina.
What? I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. Where are you coming at this from? What's making you say that?
Bounty Gate.
The Bounty Gate thing, and again, I am going to do the best that I can here, Jay, to do this as Rob Brown, the radio guy, without a bias, as opposed to Rob Brown, the Saints fan. But it has been shown time and time again that there were a number of other teams, the Chicago Bears, the Minnesota Vikings, etc., that had the exact same program in place. Sean Payton was the one that became the sacrificial lamb. Does that make him worse of a guy than the other coaches who it has been proven were doing the same thing?
You can put all those guys in the same folder. I'm not interested in hiring anyone who would do anything that approaches Bounty Gate. I just can't imagine a John Fox or a Ron Rivera handling their business like that.
I appreciate it, Jay. I appreciate the phone call. Listen, I have heard stories about Sean Payton off the air that aren't great. As a guy, I don't know him personally, so I'm obviously not going to repeat them. I've heard stories of people that have been around Sean, that make Sean Payton look like not so great a guy. I am not arguing with you. I'm not, I don't know him. I'm not casting judgment on Sean Payton because I don't know. Okay. But I've heard some stories that make him sound like not so great a guy. Both in New Orleans and in his post-coaching career. I am also going to tell you this. If you are not happy with people representing your team in an NFL capacity because they violated things that aren't laws, but you're just morally against, you're pretty much done watching NFL football. Honestly, you're pretty much done watching sports as a whole, right? But as I pointed out a number of times, the Bounty Gate discussion, it was shown after the Saints got hammered for Bounty Gate and Sean got suspended for a year, which, by the way, he did his penance to the league, right? Aren't we all about second chances? He did his penance to the league. Sean Payton, it has been shown that there are other NFL teams that had the exact same system in place. The exact same system in place. So if you want to say all those coaches are out, then that's fine, and I accept that. But this has been a part of the league for many, many years. So the question mark here is, A, do you really have as big of a problem with it as you say that you do? Some people do, and that's fine. I'm not saying you don't. I'm asking the question. Look inward and decide if you do. And 2, knowing that this is something that plenty of other teams have done the same thing, including the Minnesota Vikings. If that is something that you have such a big problem with, that you would turn away a Lombardi-winning coach from a program that has not much else going for it right now to claim a moral high ground. Some of you would say yes, and that is your right. That is your right to do. Can Carolina afford to do that? Let's take a break. Your thoughts are very much welcome. Jay, I appreciate that phone call. You guys can jump in line behind it. 844-326-3663, 844-326-3663, or text us your thoughts on the Preferred Home Services text line at 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-M. We'll read them on the air. We're back after this on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate.
Here's the updates most trusted forecast on the Fan Upstate. Looks like cloudy skies today, high 65. Tonight, chance for showers and storms, cloudy, low near 56. Thursday, chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high 65 degrees. Friday, sunny, high 58, and the highs around 50 for the weekend. A meteorologist, Jennifer Buczynski on the Fan Upstate. Currently, 6:48.
Be right back, guys. Stick around.
from 7 to 11, only on the Fan. BetMGM is the red zone for casual and hardcore sports fans. Live sports betting updates for all of the night's games as they happen. Get the latest scores, sides, totals, props, parlays, futures, and much more with hosts Quinton Mayo, Trista Crick, and Ryan Jordan. Real-time, relevant sports wagertainment tonight at 7. Exclusively on the Fan. Oh, no, Odyssey app. More than the scores.
All right, real quick here. Want to finish up this Payton thing, then we're going to take a break, and then I got some audio for you that I'm curious about your reaction to. But I want to respond real quick. I was going to move on from the Sean Payton thing, but I got a couple of comments I want to respond to here. Kevin said, I agree with Jay. The Bounty Gate should have banned Sean Payton from the NFL. It's called integrity, Rob. Look, I get that. And if that is your stance, if that is the moral high ground that you're going to hold, have at it. I'm not judging you for that. I get it. I understand it. I'm fine with it. But I wonder, and I'm sure Kevin does because he's a Buffalo fan, but I wonder if when the Patriots got hit with videotape gate, by the way, I'm tired of sticking gate on the end of every controversy, but when the Patriots got hit with videotape gate, Beamergate, if you had the same juice about Bill Belichick should be banned from the league permanently. Because one of those two things has been happening in the league for a very long time and was not directly against any rules. There were some rules you could infer it was against, and that's fine. But it's something that had been happening in the league for a long time, has been shown to be happening in the league for a long time. And one of them is pretty much damn directly against the rules in videotaping other teams' practices.
Yeah, but saying everybody's doing it doesn't make it right.
I'm not saying it makes it right or wrong. I'm saying it was not directly against the rules, and it was something that the NFL had not addressed in the past at any point. It's kind of like the $500 handshakes in college before the NIL. We all knew what was happening. We all knew what was against the rules, but we all kind of went, it's part of the game, right? It's just part of it. So where do you draw your line? I'm not saying the Bounty Gate was right or wrong. I'm saying it had been happening in the league. The Saints were far from the first team to do it. Now, if you want to dive into conspiracy theories, there was a lot of conspiracy theories that Roger Goodell is anti-New Orleans. As a Saints fan, I think they got a lot of justification behind them. As an analyst, some of them are a bit of a stretch. Some of them there's a little juice to. Not nearly enough for me to claim it as a fact. I go back to the missed pass interference call. I still contend as an analyst and a fan that was punishment from the league. That was a shot at the Saints from the league. There's no other justification. That was too egregious to go, what are you going to do? Refs miss calls. But if you are going to say Sean Payton to Carolina shouldn't happen on a moral standing, on an ethical standing, that is fine. But I would want to know where else you draw your line. Would you turn away Bill Belichick from that job if he was available? If Robert Kraft decided we didn't get the job done, and Brady, who, by the way, is not the first quarterback to get in trouble for deflating NFL footballs, but was the quarterback who took the slap on the wrist for it. If Brady, who suddenly had cell phones go missing and get broken, and certainly was not the first guy in the league to try to cover up a little evidence to avoid a punishment, you good with kicking him out of the league? If you were going to say no Payton on an ethical grounds, which is your right, and I respect your right to say that is your opinion, I would want to know, who else are you drawing the line with? If Hoodie and Brady were going to have a reunion for your team, would you say no to that? Because both of those guys have been caught cheating as well and doing things that they weren't the first guy to do, but they were the guy who got punished for it. Would you be good with suspending those guys as well? Texas says, Rob, I agree that Brady isn't a guy to build a program around, but he is a guy that can give you a year and give you more options other than giving up the farm for a quarterback this year. What I would be excited about is one of the mid to late round guys that Payton can coach up, like the kid out of Florida or Stet Bennett, for example. You could get them cheaper and coach them to be a good player. That's exactly what I'm saying. Exactly what I'm saying. Sean Payton and Tom Brady. Payton gives you the offensive-minded coach with a winning track record you're looking for. And Tom Brady buys you a year not to find a guy, but to find the guy that you are going to build around. And I got news. The guy is not available this year. The guy is not out there. Lamar might be the guy. He will not be available this offseason. But go ahead and call that shot now. Danny Dimes might be the guy. He is not available this year.
I just saw a tweet from the guy who does the morning show on WFNZ in Charlotte, who said, I would rather have an actual GOAT play quarterback for the Panthers than Tom Brady at his age. So even the guys that are right there in the city don't want Tom Brady.
I mean, cool. But let's also acknowledge that those guys are anti-Brady. And listen, I'm giving Lonzo more respect than saying he's just saying no Brady because he's anti-Brady, which he is. That's not a secret.
I am absolutely anti-Brady, but I'm also anti-45-year-old quarterback coming in for what you're calling as a bridge gap.
A bridge gap?
We don't need a stinking bridge gap.
Why not? Who's the guy? Then who's the guy?
Just bring somebody in.
Who? Just some guy?
Anybody? Well, they've already
Derek
got
Carr.
some guys.
You'd say Derek Carr over Tom Brady? A guy you will have to sign to 5 or 6 year contract?
Derek Carr's pretty old too.
He's 31.
Yeah.
You bringing in Derek Carr over Brady?
No.
You bringing in Daniel Dimes over Brady? Scratch that. He won't be available. Never mind. You bring in Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, Matt Corral. If you're saying no to Brady, that's fine. Sam Darnold? You taking Darnold over Brady?
If you're doing the bridge gap thing that you're talking about, yeah, I keep Darnold.
Okay,
for sure.
Fine.
Because it doesn't cost you any more money, really.
Yes, it does. You have to re-sign Sam Darnold.
You do for a 1-year contract, but it's not going to be the same you'd have to pay for Brady.
You're only going to bring in Brady on a 1-year contract.
Yeah, but you'd have to pay Brady a lot more than you would
so
Sam
what?
Darnold.
It ain't your money. So what? What do you care? That ain't your cash.
I just, you seem to be awful emotional about wanting Tom Brady to be in the Carolina Panthers.
Are bad arguments. You're asking me to accept an inferior quarterback because
just because someone has an inability to argue on your level doesn't mean they're wrong.
In this case, you're wrong.
I'm not.
You and a lot of texters are wrong.
I'm not. That's
Here's
fine.
what I'm not saying no to. 490 of 733, a 67% complete percentage for just a tick shy of 4,700 yards of offense, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions. Who are you taking over that? Let's just talk numbers. Forget who threw it. Who are you taking over 67% complete percentage, 4,700 yards, 25 touchdowns, and 9 interceptions?
By the way, the running thing on Twitter that I've seen so far today is Brady to the Raiders anyway. So
and that's fine. I'm saying make the push if you're Carolina. Why would you not? Who are you bringing in for a single year that is giving you 67%, 4,700 yards, and a 25-9 TD?
Nothing
to
says
ratio?
I don't care about the franchise really like bringing in a 45-year-old guy to play quarterback.
All you have is he's 45 because the numbers are good.
Isn't that enough?
No, the numbers are
he's
here.
45, dude. No, thank you.
1 year. I'm not asking you to sign him to a 10-year contract. I'm asking for a year. And Darnold ain't getting you 67, 47, 25, and 9.
Wouldn't have to if they just ran the ball as much as they needed to.
I don't need you to run the ball. You can throw the ball now. We ran the ball last year because it's all we had. It wouldn't be all we have with Tom Brady. You could throw the ball with it. Finally, DJ Moore would have somebody that can throw him open.
Would he? I don't
Yes.
know. I don't know.
Hey, I just
I
gave
don't
you
know.
the numbers that show he does.
Yeah, I'm not
Listen,
stat nerd. So,
if the only argument you have is he's 45, you don't have an argument.
I think that's a major argument, and that's the first argument that everyone's going to come up with. And yes, you do have an argument. He's 45.
Right.
That is definitely an argument.
And I need him for a year. Not 4.
Well, what do you need him for a year for?
To compete. To compete.
Yeah, like somebody else couldn't do that.
Who? I'm asking. I'm giving you the opportunity to tell me who.
Anybody who's not 45.
Carr or Brady? Honestly, break it down. Carr or Brady? Who do you want?
Neither.
That's not an option. You got to have a quarterback.
If I have to pick one over the other, I'm going to pick Carr because he's younger.
You're crazy. For 1 year? I'm asking for a single year. Carr or Brady?
Definitely for 1 year. Yes. And see, I get you're frustrated and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not alone over here.
No, what I'm saying, all the people.
You're more alone than I am.
Here you go. Fine. Let's compare them. I wanted this segment to be over, but now you've got me in a rabbit hole. Tom Brady. I just gave you the numbers. 66.8%.
No rabbit hole.
Thanks, buddy.
Neither am I.
Tom Brady, 66.8% completion. Derek Carr, 60.8. Tom Brady, 46.94 through the air. Derek Carr, 35.22. Tom Brady, 25 touchdowns. Derek Carr, 24. Tom Brady, 9 picks. Derek Carr, 14. Tom Brady, season rating, 90.7. Derek Carr, 86.
So
every single number is better for Tom Brady.
Since my argument is irrational, everything you just said means nothing to me. Because my argument's irrational, so it doesn't matter.
No. I'm asking you to make it rational. I just told you that every single stat.
Your
Brady
rationale and my
Carr.
rationale are different. It doesn't mean that they're wrong.
The only thing that matters is on the field performance. Agree or disagree? I'm just asking if that's a factual
No,
statement.
I'm not going to agree to that. No, that's not the only thing that
What
matters.
else matters?
If you are a punk and you're like a cheat and things like that, that matters.
Tom Brady's not a punk.
Yes, he is.
No, he's not.
He absolutely is. He's a punk. He's a drunk. He's a cheat. He's all those things.
Well, then I'm a drunk. You're working with me.
You got to do that. And no, you're not.
Yes, because that's
No,
that's how logic works.
Well, Rob, when's the last time that you and a drunken fit through the Lombardi Trophy across a body of water? When's the last time you did that?
I've only held it once, and I was definitely not given permission to do anything other than take a picture. So then let me refine this. If on the field performance matters,
that's a good point, James. It's unfortunate, but it's kind of mean also.
Brady clearly won't let family get in the way. Hey, I'll take whatever I can get. There is no argument against Brady other than, he's old. I'm not asking you for a decade-long contract. I'm asking you for 1 year. For 1 year, Tom Brady did everything better than Derek Carr, everything better than Sam Darnold, everything better than Will Levis, everything better than anybody. The only guy I would take would be C.J. Stroud, and he's costing you the franchise to get him.
I'm trying to figure out who you're trying to sway here, because you know good and well you're not swaying me. I mean, so you may be able to sway some of the listeners to your way of thinking, but you're not getting me over there. There is nothing you could do to get me over there. I'm stubborn.
Yeah, I am aware.
Or some would say steadfast in the belief, whatever it is.
Stubborn's fine. We can rest on stubborn. Let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, I have audio proof. You guys have wondered why great college coaches don't work out at the NFL level. I have audio evidence of the reason why. And I'm curious as to what your reaction to it will be. I will play it for you when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. That was a good segment, in my opinion.
Thought about sticking my tongue out, but it might have been too much.
Okay, you guys keep saying that. I want a young quarterback. Tell me who. For next year, who? If you're going to say no to Brady, you have to tell me who you will say yes to.
There may be another Brock Purdy out there. You never know.
Fine.
There could be a Brock Purdy on the team right now.
I'm going to say no to Tom Brady, and I'm going to gamble on some 7th rounder and hope he turns into
Tom
Brock
Brady
Purdy.
is still a gamble because he's 45.
He's not. I just gave you what he just did. That's not a gamble.
Yeah, what he just did in the horrible NFC South. We both know how bad the NFC South is. I got really good stats in the worst division in the NFL. I mean, you know.
Experience the future connectivity with Spectrum One. You get Spectrum Internet delivering the fastest speeds in the nation for $49.99 a month. Advanced Wi-Fi for enhanced privacy and security, free for 12 months. And a Spectrum mobile line with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G, free for 12 months. That's Spectrum One. Visit Spectrum.com or your local Spectrum store today. Offer subject to change. Valid for qualified residential customers only. Service not available in all areas. Restrictions apply.
Gas, groceries, vacations, most everything seems to have increased in cost these days. At My Affordable Braces, we believe that everyone should be able to afford confidence and a beautiful smile without breaking the bank. My Affordable Braces has been offering braces starting at $39.95 for years. New technology means fewer visits. Save even more. with
Mad
MetLife,
fat.
MetLife and Delta Dental. Schedule your free consultation, exam, and x-rays today at a clinic near you. Greenville, Spartanburg, and Anderson. MyAffordableBraces.com.
SC Department of Corrections is hiring correctional officers, nurses, food service specialists, facilities maintenance, licensed mental health professionals, and more positions statewide. $7,500 to $10,000 sign-on bonuses for various positions available. The Department of Corrections has great employee benefits, like 6 weeks of PTO accrued yearly and police officers' retirement. Start a rewarding new career with great benefits today. Visit joinsedc.com for more info. Sponsored by SC Department of Corrections, SCBA, and this station.
Travis.
Bam, 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 ba-da-da-dam, bam, 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 ba-da-da-da.
You may feel like your world is crumbling, and if your home has a foundation problem, it might be. At C&T Foundations, we can help. We offer no interest financing for up to 2 years for qualified homeowners. That's 2 years, same as cash. Prepare your home now and pay later.
Call 864-581-3341. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Starting trouble. No one likes that. We'll get you set up for some stronger. You might just need a fresh charge, and we'll take care of that free of charge. But if it is time for a new battery, we've got replacement batteries that'll fit your needs, starting at just $79.99. You can learn more about our battery selection at AutoZone.com. That's what makes us America's #1 battery destination. Claim based on data from the NPD Group 2021. Right now, you can get free carpet installation from the Home Depot. So while we're putting in your new carpet, you'll have more time to take care of the lawn. Get started on dinner. Or just lay down and relax on your new carpet after it's installed. Get your free.
You ever just lay down on the carpet? Just
Yes.
lay on the floor?
Yes. It's a little more difficult for me now because of some physical problems, but yes. Wasn't exactly allowed to sit on the furniture growing up, so the carpet was my friend.
Weren't allowed to sit on the furniture.
The new couch was bought, plastic was put over it, and it just sat there. So I sat on the carpet against the door. It was a very small house too.
Okay.
Still is. Not much bigger than this room. As I got taller, my space got smaller because the house still stayed that little. So that's a good point, James. Lying on the floor but not walking barefoot on it. How could you do that, Rob? See, you put your face down there where people's feet were. He's going to throw something at me.
I would never.
He's got pretty good aim, too. I'm in trouble.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Found this audio floating around on the Twitter device earlier today. This audio is from a team meeting with the University of Colorado Buffaloes. That, of course, is the current location of one Neon Dion Coach Prime Time Sanders. This is assistant coach Tim Brewster. Tim Brewster used to coach down in Tallahassee, down at Florida State. He was there when I was doing my radio down there. He is a very intense dude. He left there, been a couple of spots. Now he's at Colorado with Coach Prime. This audio is from a meeting that he had with the team day before yesterday. They have assembled the squad. Brewster walks in, and I want your reaction to the audio from Tim Brewster. Here's the audio. What's your reaction to that?
I was born the cheesiest coach.
I saw another clip the other day, and this took place at a, let's just say, big box store. Okay, one of the big box stores. And it was the floor manager. And the floor manager brought all the employees of the big box store up to where the cash registers were. And he had them start doing the stomp, stomp, clap thing. And then he started the chant, we are box store. But he said the name of the store. We are box store. And the initial vibe that I got was, if I worked store and I'm trying to get my work done and the boss called me and he's like, hey, come up here, we're going to do a pep rally, I would take my vest off and I'd be gone. Okay? I'd be out. I'd be like, I'm not doing this. You need me to stock boxes. I don't need to be up here stomping, chanting this. I'm not that excited to work here.
But if you're a young kid and it's your first job and you're getting the sense of team.
Nope. You want to install a sense of team? Just bring us up to the front. Bring in somebody, give everybody a coffee, tell everybody to talk. You get a 10-minute. You know what would increase my bonding with my team? Just a 10-minute break. Nobody work for 10 minutes. Everybody hang out. That'll do it. Or, hey, here's $100 for everybody. We're going to the bowling alley. That'll do it. But we are box store is not doing it for me. It's just not, right? My question is, that attitude, that mentality is the mentality that a lot of college coaches have. And it works fine for 18-year-old kids who are just super stoked to be playing football at school. That mentality does not translate to the NFL. That's the kind of stuff in a meeting that gets players to make fun of you after the meeting is over. That was lame, dude. That was lame. Some people will get fired up by it. Those are the players you're targeting and you're recruiting. Players who are going to show up and go, I'm really excited to be told to stand up and sit down in a team meeting.
I guess I'm just a simple guy. I was kind of hyped up by that. I mean, the intensity, I'm sure his veins were popping out. I'm sure he's going full on wrestling promo, and I would just be ready to go.
I mean, like he seemed hype. Sure. Here's what I'll say. Get hype.
You know what? I just wish that our boss would gather us together and have that kind of intensity and do that for us. I mean, I think that would make us all work so much better if he would do that. Maybe today, just gather us all together and just get into it. And I know I would work a whole lot harder.
I have a dentist appointment at 12:15 today. Listen, if that works for you, it works for you. That's awesome. Good for you. Good for you. That's a game day attitude, and I'm good with it, right? Hell, I still love, you tell those Kurds I'm coming, and hell's coming with me, you hear me? Hell's coming with me. It's a great moment, and it works in that moment. But a Tuesday 9:15 team meeting, if you do that in the NFL, and I suspect a lot of college football coaches try it, it's not going to work. It's a different mindset, man. We are the fan upstate. We are the fan upstate. Are you hype right now, Alonzo? Are you ready to run through a wall for hour 3? Let's find out. That's a no, by the way. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
Here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online and you can get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR, but with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with AutoPay and Excellent Credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money at a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR, includes 0.5% auto pay discount. Which requires excellent credit terms and conditions.
Kevin said y'all call what you do work. I mean, only because that is the best word to call it. Do I call it a job? No, not really. I have said many times to Lonzo, we don't have real jobs. And I cannot tell you how grateful I am to not have a real job. I have a fake job and I work harder at it than I should. Frankly.
I will tell you this. There have been points in my career after 3 hours straight of phone calls on another station of people cursing me out one after the other, that it definitely is a job.
Right, but that doesn't happen here. This part of the job, let me phrase it. I will rephrase that, Kevin. I will refine, though I did not mean for this to be serious. This is absolutely a real job, and it absolutely is work. Making sure the radio station runs the way we want it to is absolutely work. The 3 hours that we are on the air, the 3 hours that you guys see, no, that's all fun. It's a blast.
In my case, there's a lot of scheduling and math. And the worst thing in the world, oh, hey, man, I can't make it today.
We are the Fan Upstate. Okay, so I very frequently, Lonzo.
You had Diesel rhythm going there. That was amazing.
Shoot, Diesel ain't got that rhythm.
That was the joke.
I very frequently see like nerds playing Quidditch on college campuses, and I've always kind of made fun of them, right? But look at these dudes playing Quidditch. These dudes I respect. Watch these cats.
Yeah, hopefully you aren't getting us
No, I mean
flagged.
It's on the internet. We can show video from the internet as long as I can't imagine this. Oh, this is on TikTok, so it's fair. Look at these dudes playing. I would play.
Yeah,
I
but
would have played
Rob,
Quidditch if that's what it looked like.
Rob, where are the brooms?
They were holding pipes in between their legs.
Oh,
they were playing
pipes?
rugby.
Yeah, it's
with elevated goals, holding. It's
all right,
incredible.
some of them I see had brooms. There's got to be a broom though. I mean, It's got to be a broom.
I would, if that's how it went. When I saw it played on college campuses, it was always like tag. Like if you got tagged, that was the same as getting tackled. These dudes are beating the hell out of each other.
Which, is fun.
That looked like a blast.
Hey, I'm Andy. If you don't know me, it's probably because I'm not famous. But I did start a men's grooming company called Harry's. The idea for Harry's came out of a frustrating experience I had buying razor blades. Most brands were overpriced, overdesigned, and out of touch. At Harry's, our approach is simple. Here's our secret. We make sharp, durable blades and sell them at honest prices for as low as $2 each. We care about quality so much that we do some crazy things, like buy a world-class German blade factory. Obsessing over every detail means we're confident in offering a 100% quality guarantee. Millions of guys have already made the switch to Harry's, so thank you if you're one of them. And if you're not, we hope you give us a try with this special offer. Get a Harry starter set with a 5-blade razor, weighted handle, shave gel, and a travel cover. All for just $3 plus free shipping.
The other thing that makes us a job is training.
Yep. I did 4 of those classes Monday on my off day.
Yeah, I got one I got to get done today. So the consequences is what they do is they send a reminder to you and your manager. My manager didn't say anything to me, but I did see that he was copied on the email over the last one that I hadn't gotten done yet. I don't mind the ones that actually have something to do with my job.
Yeah.
It's the other ones that is yeah.
The third, the final, the best of the money hour. The Rob Brown Show starts now, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Fan Upstate. This is the Fan Upstate.
You're not meshing with the music, man. I just hope you stop doing that because I don't want that in my head all day, which is what you're trying to do.
You know what the best part of that video I was talking about from the box store is? The manager wrote a whole rap to go in the middle of that. And here was my favorite part. After he made those poor employees do a we are box store chant, then he dropped his sick rhymes on all of them for a very uncomfortable 45 seconds. And when they started letting up on the boom, boom, clap, he got onto them for bailing out of his little performance piece. I was like, dude, you're lucky they bailed out of the performance piece and not the job.
Well, the thing is, obviously, if you don't have enough stick-to-itiveness to keep the beat going for, a couple minutes, then how am I supposed to believe that you're going to get your job done?
I don't know. Maybe just go look at the job and see if it got done. It's a good way to do it. Just see if I do the job. And not if I'm willing to chant clap so that you can break out those fat beats that you came up with yesterday at Starbucks.
I wonder if you're the guy who has no coordination and cannot keep the beat if you get in trouble for not being able to keep the beat.
A couple of years ago, I was working for a radio station down in Destin, Florida. I was actually doing a political talk radio show at the time, hilariously enough. And we got called into the office one day, the conference room by the big boss, right? The whole station. Got the email that said, those of you that are on air, voice track something. I need you in the office for 1 hour. We're like, all right. So we show up and the big boss is like, hey, everybody's doing great. Ratings are good. Revenue's up. So we're going to do a little something special for you guys today. We're going to have a little team building experience. And we're all yoked, right? We're like, hell yeah, we're getting some pizza, maybe some Coke. Maybe he's going to take us out to the bowling alley. Who knows what we're going to do? We're going to have a good day. He rolls up in the conference room and he starts walking around the table, handing out, Zoe, I'm not kidding you, handing out tubs of Play-Doh, right? And he's like, your reward is for lunch. Today, we're all going to sit around the conference table, and we are going to use this Play-Doh to make up representations of what the radio station, what the program means to you. I want you to make a sculpture out of this Play-Doh, and then as our reward, Lonzo.
Was your Play-Doh brown?
I don't remember. I've blanked it from my memory. As our reward for everybody doing a great job, we had to give up our lunch break to make Play-Doh sculptures. And as the real reward, he took them all down to the pottery class place, and he had them all fired and turned into sculptures and brought them back to us.
That's kind of cool.
Nope.
I mean, yeah, it's kind of
No. As a reward, here is the Play-Doh sculpture that you gave up your lunch break to sit around and make. That's your reward. I was like, no, I'd rather have worked.
I'm sure that cost a little bit of cash to have that done. And
just give me the cash. I would literally rather have the $3 that it cost you to buy the Play-Doh.
So what you're saying is you're not a good sculptor. That's what I'm getting out of this.
I don't know if I am or not.
What did you attempt? Now everybody's going to want to know, what did you try to make?
What did I turn? I think I just turned mine into like a knockoff microphone because I just wanted to be done with it. Listen, I am down.
Did you like pull out a quarter or something so you could etch in the Play-Doh?
No,
the
did not
exact
care that much. I literally was sitting there going, I gave up my lunch break for this. I am 100% down. You know why I love working here?
You're not really a team player, are you?
No. You know what I love about this place? You know what our team building? What was our last team building exercise?
Kevin said he would have made lady parts, and I'm just like, yeah, we know Kevin.
We know Kevin.
We know Kevin.
Join the stream, by the way, facebook.com/thefanupstate, or search and subscribe to the Rob Brown Show on Twitch or YouTube. The last team building events that we've had here were
we have those.
Oh yeah,
I don't
you don't come to them.
I don't go to them.
The last two that we've had here were the boss rented out a country club house and turned it into a party complete with a DJ and an open bar. The time before that, he rented out an entire bowling alley with an open bar.
By the way,
he said, you guys come, hang out, play, talk, drink. Don't worry about work. Don't sculpt Play-Doh sculptures. Come here, eat, drink on the dime, have a great time. That's how you do it, not stomp, clap, or Play-Doh sculptures.
Yeah, I won't go to the bowling thing anymore because I just was bowling by myself. No one would bowl with me. So, so that's what I get for going to try to be a part of a team.
In fairness, it was an open bar.
All I saw is a bunch of people over there drinking because that's what they do.
Hashtag
drinking's exciting.
Hashtag team building.
Yeah, day drinking is team building.
Team building.
Yeah, okay. All right.
It is for me and Tom Brady. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, be a part of the show. 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Text us on the text line 71307. Start your text with FAN, F-A-N. We shall read them on the air.
By the way, Rob Brown's birthday is coming up. He would love for you to send him a thing of Play-Doh.
Or whiskey.
Play-Doh. Send him Play-Doh.
Don't do that. Send me whiskey. Real quick, this
only brown Play-Doh.
Lonzo, you might want to get the glass ready because I do actually have a bit of breaking news here. Speaking of the Carolina Panther head coaching search. Breaking news brought to you by our friends at BetQL. Be a better, be smarter, beat the books, and use the BetQL app. Plus, I was told yesterday that despite the rise of my illustrious former co-host Cody Decker within the world of media broadcasting, as he is now a co-host on FS1 every morning on the Craig Carton Show, he and I spoke earlier this week, and there is some level of discussion that everybody's favorite baseball gambling show, Bet for the Cycle, may make its return next baseball season starting opening day. So I'll let you know when we get there.
Cool. So we get to see you punished weekly.
Ugh, God, I hate that. Why do we keep doing that? Any hoodles, one of the primary targets in the Carolina Panther head coaching search was Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson. In fact, because this is how Rob's timing works. Yesterday, The Great One and I recorded the next episode of the Views from Mint Street podcast, your home for all the Carolina Panther talk you can possibly stand, and then just a little bit more, available where fine podcasts are found. And we talked about the Panthers head coaching search, and one of the names that I told you was being discussed as one of the front runners for the job was Ben Johnson, the offensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He was one of the most popular and hot head coaching targets in the National Football League. He has done interviews already with the Indianapolis Colts, the Houston Texans. He was scheduled for an interview with the Carolina Panthers later on this afternoon. But according to reports, earlier this AM, Ben Johnson popped onto the phone with the Colts and Texans, the two teams that he has already interviewed with, and told them that he has changed his mind and has decided he will stay with the Detroit Lions for one more year as their offensive coordinator. The same report said that the Carolina Panthers could expect a phone call later on today informing them that the interview is canceled. The 36-year-old was promoted to OC this season after 2 seasons as their tight ends coach and oversaw what I think was arguably the surprise of the league, a 9-8 Lions team. They started 1-6 this year. Then they gelled. They have gone to 9-8, secured the franchise's first winning record since 2017. And while they were in the playoff hunt in Week 18, and they did get a victory over the Green Bay Packers that knocked Aaron Rodgers out of the playoffs, the Packers, due to the Seattle win and in situation, found themselves eliminated before that game actually started. In 2021, the Lions finished in the bottom third of the NFL in points and yards per game. This year, the 5th highest scoring team in football with over 26.5 points per game. Jared Goff was written off as a competitive starter in the National Football League after he was sent away from the Rams and to Detroit in return for Matthew Stafford. Jared Goff averaged 6.6 yards per attempt, averaged 231.8 yards per game, and went 19-8 onto the TD to INT ratio for a Lions squad that was 3-13-1 last year. This year, averaged 8 yards per attempt, averaged 261.1 yards per game, and went 29-7 on the TD to INT ratio. An absolutely dramatic turnaround where Jared Goff looked more like early career Jared Goff under Sean McVay than the guy who got sent away for an older Matt Stafford. Ben Johnson has decided to gamble on himself, roll the dice for one more year, and if the Lions have the same success under head coach and the dude, Dan Campbell, next year, Ben Johnson will be the hottest coaching candidate next offseason and will get a sizable raise as a head coach from the one that he would have gotten from Houston, from Arizona, from Denver, from Indianapolis, or frankly, from the Carolina Panthers. So Ben Johnson has taken himself out of the head coaching search, and I am not surprised by that at all. Not surprised by that at all. There were a couple of very nice surprises in the National Football League, and the Detroit Lions were absolutely one of them.
So really, you're not surprised? I think it's kind of unusual for a guy to be up for so many jobs and to suddenly go, you know what, I'm going to stay where I am.
Well, I would say a couple of things. Number one, getting interviews for a head coaching position is a possibility. Ben Johnson would have got a head coaching job. All right. I have no question about that. He absolutely would have. What he did with the Lions this year was pretty impressive as the OC. He would have got a head coaching job. But here's the other part of it. I think if you are especially a first-time head coach, if you are a first-time head coach and looking to make a splash and impact in your first year under the visor, under the big visor. I kind of think you want to go to a destination where you feel like you have some level of control, right? Which of the jobs that are open right now, and this is part of the reason I think Sean Payton to Carolina makes the most sense. Which of the jobs open right now do you truly feel you have the most control? It ain't Houston, right? The Houston Texans front office has shown very clearly that they are more important than the head coach. You don't want to go to a job that is the case. The Houston Texans are a bad job. The Denver Broncos, how much control do you have over Denver right now? Not much. Russell Wilson pretty much has it there, right? They locked him in for almost $250 million. You aren't changing that. You are stuck with Russ. Like him or not, you're stuck with him for a few more years. Not a lot of control in Denver. Indianapolis. I mean, I would have said up until this year, you got to feel pretty good about that. But, and maybe I'm overblowing this. Maybe this matters more to me than it does to a lot of you guys. But Jim Irsay is the guy who went above. Nope, not above. Jim Irsay is the guy who decided, though everybody thought it was a joke, to put Jeff Saturday in charge of his program. That went great. He got his win out of the gate, and they sucked the rest of the ride. The only game they were able to win is because the Houston Texans can't even lose right at the end of the year. It's a bad look. Is Jim Irsay the guy you want to attach that first-time effort with? Probably not. It leaves it basically down to Arizona, another spot where you are going to have zero say on the construction of the offense because they've locked up Kyler Murray, and they clearly value Kyler Murray more than they value the head coach. That's why Cliff Kingsbury is drunk on a beach in Thailand right now. Which, by the way, yep, you're going to pay me not to be the coach? I will gladly accept that paycheck and be banging down Bahama Mamas in the Caribbean right now. The best job on the planet is fired head coach. There's not a job in the world better than being a fired head coach. The checks keep coming for you to not do anything. Anyway, I don't know, man. I am not shocked he has taken his name out of the running despite being a front runner for, I assume, most of those jobs, because none of those jobs are super appealing to me. You know who's going to end up with one of those jobs? And I talked about this a little bit yesterday on the Views from Mint Street podcast. There are guys like who is the Saints defensive backs coach? I can't. What's his name? Chris Bryant, Chris Richard. Chris Richards is the defensive back coach for the Saints. He's snagging interviews. Why? I mean, the Saints defensive backs were arguably the best part of that defense when Marshawn Lattimore was healthy. Does that make him ready to be a head coach? No. Now, he's got more defensive coordinator jobs, which I understand. But my understanding, and I could be wrong, is that he may be getting a head coaching job interview here or there. Why? Because it is getting to a point that a lot of NFL front offices are not putting the value into the head coaching spot that they used to. And by value, I mean control. Right? If you want to be a head coach, you want control. I'll tell you this. Part of the reason that I work here at this radio station and not another, you want to know why? Is because when I had my interviews with the guys down the hall that scratch the checks, that make the decisions, and I asked them how much editorial control over my show do they have, you know what they told me? None. We don't care. Do a good show. Do a show, get listeners. If you do, you're fine, and if you don't, you're out. That's it. What happens from 9 a.m. until noon on this radio broadcast? I have never had the guys down the hallway tell me what I should or shouldn't say. The only thing they've ever said is make sure you've got some Clemson and South Carolina content on the radio broadcast. You do that, you're fine. Control. I want to be in control of this product. If it fails, it's on me. But I want to make sure that I get to say if it succeeds, it's also on me with support of management. That's how NFL coaches feel too. That's how NFL coaches feel as well. And so if you're Ben Johnson and you're going to get your first crack at it, do you want to do it under a Houston Texans administration that clearly shows it is more important to them to run a church in the front office than it is to run a football team? Nope. Do you want to do it in Denver that shows that they are willing to let Russell Wilson be the gemstone to the point that nothing else matters outside of their quarterback? Nope. Do you want to do it in Arizona where they feel the same way about Kyler Murray? Nope. Do you want to do it in Indy where the owner's like, I'll show everybody that I'm smarter than all of you, to the point that he makes decisions that hurt the football team? Nope. You may not like David Tepper as a guy, but I'll give him this. Tepper lets his coach be in control. Matt Rule didn't fail because David Tepper's a bad owner. Matt Rule failed because Matt Rule was bad at the job. Matt Rule didn't fail because Scott Fitter is a bad GM. He's not. In fact, he's a pretty good GM. Matt Rule failed because Matt Rule's bad at the job. That's why Carolina is the most attractive NFL head coaching position available right now. Let's take a break. We'll come here in just a minute. And I got a few more things I want to get into on the broadcast. Anybody been watching the NBA lately besides me? NBA officiating continues to be a discussion. Braun got into it the other day. Russ got into it the other day. We've had a number of fines levied out for criticism of refs. You know who else got into it? NBA Hall of Famer Rick Barry. And he said something that made me ask myself, am I a boomer now? I'll play that audio for you. Get your thoughts on it when we come back on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Yes, Rob has creative control, brother. I am the chief content officer. I don't know if that's a real thing or not.
Hey, man, I ain't got nothing to do with that. Sorry, I missed it. I would have stopped it. It's not paid for. So, I mean, at least I don't believe so. It doesn't have a sponsor attached to it. So.
Brother.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find.
So when I go home today, do I
You can post your job to some job board
go directly to the restroom and look in the toilet.
Make sure that toilet ain't clogged
Yeah,
up.
just I'm more concerned about seeing, the same guy floating there.
Oh, if he is, he's going to be bloated and gross.
Yeah,
now.
well, what would be worse is he's looking up at me like he was waiting for me to get back.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
This feature sponsored by Pfizer. When temperatures drop, COVID-19 cases may rise. So if you test positive and are at high risk, act fast, even if your symptoms feel mild. Ask your provider if an authorized oral treatment could be right for you. Visit treatcovid19.com.
Inflation is ridiculous. Everything from gas prices, food, and vacations. At My Affordable Braces, we have and will. Starting at just $39.
You have time to grab a water real quick?
Technology. You will need fewer visits than ever.
No.
Okay.
Well, you got 45 seconds. If you can get there and back in 45
Yeah, I'll
seconds.
get it next break.
I mean, I can play the bed, or I could go on the air and make fun of the fact that you're not here
Nah,
because you couldn't get there and back in 45 seconds, which you should be able to do.
I could, but I'm not going through
You
that.
still got 45 seconds. Why don't you go get your drink? My problems would be solved if I could get a cat, but my wife's allergic to cats. I'll straight up be a cat guy if it eliminates that thing from happening ever again.
The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is the Fan Upstate. Rob, Lonzo, you be a part of the show. 844-326-3663. 844-326-3663. Text us on the radio broadcast.
This is ironic, but the name of this bet is Creative Freedom.
That's perfect timing. That's perfect timing. 71307 is the texting number. Start your text with Fan FAM. We'll read them on the air. Fan FAM. We'll read them on the air. Let's take a look at some of the texts that have come in so far. Texter says Dan Quinn turned down several head coaching interviews last year to remain as Dallas DC. Yeah, that is correct. And I if I recall correctly, as of now, and again, the Cowboys are obviously still in the playoffs. So that's a question mark. Dan Quinn's time at Atlanta was okay. There are some guys I wonder if they hit a point where they just, like we've talked about this in the past, that there are some guys that their level of ability is just coordinator. That's just what you're capable of doing, right? The concept of the Peter Principle. You ever heard of the Peter Principle before? It's one of my favorite things to talk about. The Peter Principle states that everybody has a certain level of competency within their career, right? And the example I like to use is at a restaurant. You get hired as a restaurant as a busboy. You do a great job as a busboy. So eventually you get raised up to be bar back, a job that's a little more complicated, a little more high paced. Let's say you do a great job at the bar back spot. If you kill it at the bar back spot and you got a good personality, you'll get moved up to bartender. Bartender's the job that everybody wants working at the bar. You get to be a bartender. Let's say you do a killer job as a bartender. And then one day you go Or they go, hey, you did a great job as a bartender. We're going to make you the assistant manager of the bar. Then you get promoted to assistant manager, and there are now added responsibilities. You still got to bartend, but now you got to manage schedules and beverage ins and outs, etc. That just might be above your pay grade, right? It's just too much for you to handle. You just can't get it. In the world of coaching, if you do that, you get moved from, tight end coach to coordinator to head coach. There comes a point where you just can't do the job. And what ends up having to happen? You get demoted, right? You get taken out of that spot and moved one position back. And instead of looking at it as this is the level of your max competency, because that sounds insulting, though it is what it is. This is where you're at your best. Your best performance in that bar came as a bartender. You're just not cut out. You don't have whatever it is, organizational skills, time management, whatever. You don't have it to do that gig at that level. So we're going to put you back as a bartender. A lot of people will consider that a demotion and they go, I'm out. Or the organization goes, you failed at this job, so you're gone. Without looking back at it and going, but you were a damn good bartender. Let's move you back to that role. They go, nope, we got a new bartender. You're out. And you're letting a good bartender walk. I wonder how many and I'm not saying this is the case with Dan Quinn, but Dan Quinn was the head coach for the Atlanta Falcons. During his time as the head coach with the Atlanta Falcons, the Falcons were okay. They were okay. 8-8 in his first year. 28-3 game in the Super Bowl in 2016. In 2017, they went to the divisional round, lost to the Eagles. In 2018, they had a lot of injuries that year, but they were 7-9 that year. In 2019, they finished the season at 7-9, and in 2020, they were, I don't know, around 500, 0-5 to start the season. It was bad. Oh, sorry, they fired him after an 0-5 start midseason. Him and Thomas Dimitroff, the former GM, were both let go. Raheem Morris moved up to interim head coach. Raheem just interviewed with the Broncos, by the way, as a brief aside, as did Sean Payton. Anyway, Dan Quinn made a Super Bowl run. But outside of that, he was 500 with the Falcons over his career, 500. Dan Quinn's Cowboys defense this year has been pretty good. It has not been the defense that's been the big part of the problem for the Cowboys. I say problem like they're not playing for the divisional round this weekend in the playoffs. But Dan Quinn is a very stout defensive coordinator and a very average head coach. Can I blame that on Atlanta? Maybe. But he's got to eat some of the responsibility. I wonder how many guys, because I think Ben Johnson might be in this position. I think Dan Quinn might be in this position. How many guys get to that coordinator role and go, okay, I can go somewhere as a head coach, get a couple of seasons and get canned and have to start this whole thing over again, or I can be a coordinator with a good team like Dallas and just ride it out. Dan Quinn did that last year. Dan Quinn's being looked at as a head coaching prospect right now. Dan Quinn, as far as I know, has not interviewed. And to answer the question, yes, you can absolutely interview for a head coaching job and be named the next head coach while your team is still active in the playoffs. Texas says, fan, Falcons succeeded despite Dan Quinn. And maybe so. Maybe so. But the point is, I got to wonder if Dan Quinn didn't look and go, you know what? That was not fun. I'm just a good defensive coordinator, and I'm perfectly happy in this role. I don't know. Anyway, just a thought.
So back to that principle thing you were talking about. Have you ever looked at your life and went, yep, that's it?
Sure did. Sure did.
I have reached my potential. I can do no further in what I'm doing.
Absolutely did. I don't think there is anything wrong with knowing your capabilities, knowing your limitations.
I mean, it's one thing going, yeah, I can't do that. But I think it's another thing in your career going, okay, the career is going this way, heading in this direction as far as like things are going all digital. I am no longer capable of doing that. It's time to just go do something else.
I think there are plenty of radio guys that are walking away from this business right now because of how it's going digital.
It is kind of scary
100%.
because my biggest fear is I will reach a point where I look at something and go, yeah, I can't do that.
I think there's a lot of, granted, it starts with the older generation, but I think there's plenty of radio guys who look away and go, this digital stuff, I can't do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm out. Right. When I was working in government public information a number of years ago, I handled all the communications for the Okaloosa County government. And as I got towards the end of my tenure there, they came to me. I ran it for the county government, the county airport, and the county prison system, the Department of Corrections. I ran comms for all three organizations. They came to me one day, and they wanted to add another branch under it. And this branch was going to take as much time as the airport and Department of Corrections took at the time. I was already stressed out. I already did not get to here's how busy I was at the time. Because I ran communications for the county airport, I could fly for like 90% off out of the airport, but I never did because I did not have time. I didn't have time. And they came to me and said, hey, we want to put this under your office. We want to put this under your office. You are going to be in charge of this too. And I went, nope, can't do it. And they went, what? I said, no, I can't do it. It's best paying job with the best benefits I ever had. Had I lasted like 5 more years in that position, I would have had a pension from that job. I said, I can't do it. It's too much. I'm not capable of it. There's just too much. They came to me about 3 weeks later and said, look, it's going on this job. And if you can't do it, we're going to have to find someone else in this position. And I said, that's on you. You make that call. You can fire me if you want, but I can't do it. And they did. They let me go. It's the only job I've ever been canned from. They let me go because I said no to that, right? Guess what happened with that job? Within the next 2 years, they had 4 people come in and out of that job because it was too much for the job. I looked and went, nope, I know my limitation and I know I am not capable of doing what you're asking me to do. So I will do the best that I am doing right now, a damn good job with what I have. And if that's not good enough, I'll go find another spot where I know that I am capable of succeeding in the role they asked me to take on. And that's when I went back into radio. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I think a lot of coaches need to be very smart before they take that next step up to make sure, can I succeed in that role? I think that's why teams like the Texans, teams like the Broncos this offseason are going to have a tough time getting the guy they truly want for the job. Because you have to look at that job and go, am I capable of succeeding in this job with the environment they've created? Nick Caserio, Jackie used to be the Houston Texans, have made it very difficult to succeed in the head coach's role there because of the front office. Nobody wants to go fail at their first job. The Denver Broncos are going to make it very difficult to succeed in that job because if you and your system and philosophy don't fit Russell Wilson, who do you think is going to go? The head coach or the guy who's got a $250 million guaranteed contract? You. And I know that because Arizona. Who's the guy they let go? The head coach who had them in the playoffs or the questionable off-injured quarterback who they signed to a $200 million contract? Cliff Kingsbury's drunk on a beach in Thailand right now. The answer to that is very clear. A lot of teams are going to have a hard time getting the head coaches they want because guys like Ben Johnson are going to look and go, I don't know if I can succeed in that environment. And I'm not going to go somewhere that I am going to be fighting a nasty uphill battle in my own office to succeed. The only battle I want to fight is on the football field on Sundays, not in the front office Monday through Friday. Just a theory. Just a thought. Sean Payton is interviewed with the Denver Broncos now. He is scheduled to interview with the Carolina Panthers on Friday. I have made the argument. I will put out a secondary video later on this afternoon where we will talk about that. We will talk about why David Tepper needs to be the guy that rolls out the checkbook for Sean Payton and utilizes that to get Tom Brady for a year. I will put out my best argument. I will let you guys try to knock it down. There's my thoughts. All right, 844-FAN phone, 844-326-3663. Text us 71307. Let's see. Do we have any other texts that have come in? Whatever happened to Wonder Kid Joe Brady? After Joe Brady got canned as the offensive coordinator for the Carolina Panthers, which, by the way, I still believe was not because Brady's a bad coach, but happened because they needed a sacrificial lamb for Matt Rule. Joe Brady got picked up. He is currently the quarterback's coach for the Buffalo Bills. And I'm going to go ahead and call the shot now that Joe Brady's going to be back in charge of an NFL offense, if not next year, the year after that at latest. If not 2023, by 2024, Joe Brady will be back in charge of an NFL offense as the OC. And when he is, Carolina fans are going to look and go, we let Joe Brady go for Matt Rule. What a mistake. I said that when he got fired. I stand by it now. Within 2 years, Panthers fans are going to look and go, I can't believe we let Joe Brady go to keep Matt Rule. Texter says the argument against Tom Brady is that he doesn't make the Panthers a Super Bowl contender, which would actually slow their rebuild because Brady is a good quarterback. Listen, Tom Brady makes you closer to a Super Bowl contender than anybody else available right now. He takes you closer to a Super Bowl contender than Derek Carr on a 3 or 4 or 5 year contract, than Sam Darnold on a 2-year contract. He takes you closer to a Super Bowl than anybody that is not Lamar Jackson or CJ Stroud, neither of whom will be available to the Panthers. They are not options. Tom Brady takes you closer next year and the year after that, even if he's not in Carolina, because he gives you the 1 year to find the guy who will be. That's why Brady's the right move for a year alongside Sean Payton. If you don't get Sean Payton next year, then no, next year doesn't matter with Tom Brady. If you don't get Sean Payton, then Tom Brady becomes irrelevant. You got to get him as a package duo. But if you can get both of those cats, and Carolina, in my opinion, is the only team that is set up in a position to get both Brady and Payton. You meet all the qualifications for Payton, you meet all the qualifications for Brady. If Payton is there. You meet all the qualifications for Payton if Brady is there. You were the only team that meets the qualifications for both. Go get them. It will make you a better team for the next 6 or 7 years, even though Brady is only going to be there for 1 at most. Let's take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap this show up. My name is Rob Brown. Lonzo's at the helm. Your takes are welcome. Before we get out of here, it's the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Lonzo would make a good Panthers head coach if Jeff Saturday did it. I would hire Lonzo as the head coach.
I just delegate.
We are Carolina. Lonzo would get the voice.
Shootout loss against the Canucks. Tomorrow's matchup, the end of a 3-game homestand. Carolina still on top of the Metropolitan Division by 1 point over New Jersey. The Devils have won 5 in a row. Carolina will go. 34 Hornets have lost 5 straight in 8 of their last 10. They're on the road tonight visiting the Rockets. It's the first of 4 straight away from home. The trip includes matchups at Atlanta, Utah, and Phoenix. Hear every play of the NFL playoffs, including the Super Bowl, exclusively on the Fan Upstate. Download the Odyssey app, then search the Fan Upstate and listen anywhere on your phone. I'm Chuck Sanders. That's the Sports Flash on the Fan Upstate.
I will survive, James. Eventually, I will feel better. Food just doesn't really interest me a lot right now, Kevin. I'm sure Rob will be eating something wonderful though.
At Staples, you can count on every project being print perfect, guaranteed. Your branded presentations, brochures with the finest folds, and more will be done right every time. That's our print big promise. Now at Staples, get $10 off your document printing and marketing materials order at $50 or more, plus 20% back by a store bonus. Try Staples and see the difference. Ends 2/11. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staples.com/stores/printbig for details.
Those aren't blinds. Those are blackout shutters,
Yep, they are.
which I'm excited about.
Yes, shutting out all vestiges of light.
I'm good for it.
No purchase necessary to enter or win over the U.S. resident 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
All right, I'm going to show you guys on the stream the most interesting football stadium I think I've ever seen. This is the stadium of O'Hara Stadium in South Dakota, home of the South Dakota Miners. South Dakota Mines. The stadium has bleachers on the far side, but the parking lot is wrapped around the stadium so that you can literally tailgate at the game. You can sit on the bed of your truck and tailgate and be in the crowd at the game at the same time. That is arguably the coolest stadium I've ever seen. I would love to be able to go to a game and be at the game, at the field, but still sit in the back of my truck and tailgate. Drink out of my own cooler, eat off my own grill. I would pay twice what it costs to sit in a stadium to park my car in that stadium and tailgate while I watch the game. That is the best of both worlds. I would throw a couch in the back of my truck and bring it to the game for this stadium. That's incredible. Yeah, imagine building a fan base like Bills Mafia who are at the tailgate around their car. The only thing it would cost the school is extra security to make sure nobody goes too crazy. I would kill to go to games at that stadium.
I have 65. What?
From the Ingalls Market Studio, the fan.
Upstate, 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg.
Live from the free Odyssey. Listen on the Odyssey app. Search the fan Upstate.
The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. This is the Fan Upstate, ladies and gentlemen. Wanted to talk about this earlier on the show. I'll bring it up probably more at length tomorrow. But an announcement from Major League Baseball earlier this week. Lonzo, prepare yourself. The electronic strike zone will be used in all 30 Class AAA baseball parks this season, according to Buster Olney at ESPN. The ABS, the automatic balls and strike system, will be deployed in two different ways this year as an experiment. Half of Class AAA games will be played with all of the calls being determined by electronic strike zone. The other half will be played with an ABS challenge system similar to that used in professional tennis at this point. If you've watched tennis, you know that each player has a set number of challenges on a ruling on a ball in or out of bounds. The tennis arenas have cameras and laser systems set up on the boundaries of the tennis courts that when a ball lands and the ruling of in or out from the umpire is challenged by a player, they go to a very, very laser point accurate delivery system to determine if the ball hit the line or not. The challenge can come, I believe, from pitchers or managers that they will then go to the ABS system and determine if the ball hit the strike zone or not. MLB has no firm date to implement its ABS system in the big leagues. Part of the reason why is because traditionally MLB likes to experiment in the minor leagues with potential implementations at the big leagues. They did it with the pitch clock. They did it with the larger bases. Those will come into play this season for baseball. The bases are going to be, I think, a couple of inches larger in order to spare the ankles of position players and runners. In 2019, the Athletic League used the electronic strike zone in an all-star game. The Arizona Fall League was played entirely with ABS. The ABS was deployed in some Class A parks. Last season, the full ABS was used for some AAA games. This year, it will be used for all of them in half the parks and as a challenge system in others, so that we will actually have direct data about whether or not it makes the game better. Spoiler alert, it will.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter Trending Topics.
All right, time for Twitter Trending Topics, where if I don't have another back spasm and kill over in the floor, I will try to get.
On there.
Yeah, it's not good.
It didn't look good for a second.
Yeah, it hurts. All right, the first thing that's trending is Waffle House.
So there's a video that's been going around about a lady who worked at a Waffle House. There was a fight in the Waffle House, which if you've never seen a fight in a Waffle House, you're not part of the Waffle House family yet. Okay? There were a couple of customers who got into it with the Waffle House crew. One of them threw a chair at a lady working behind the counter at the Waffle House. The lady, like a Bruce Lee movie, Lonzo caught the chair out of the air and then without breaking on to eye contact, just dropped it to the ground. Like, I'm not even going to throw it back. I am not going to edge and slam you across the back with it. Caught the chair out of midair and dropped it, and then got fired for partaking in the fight as if she was the one launching chairs at people. They started a GoFundMe for this lady. It made like $15K in like 10 minutes or something like that because the lady deserved it. And also to be an action movie star. Anyway, I don't know if that's why that's trending, but I wanted to talk about it.
All right, that's not why, but that sounds pretty cool. It's trending because of Trevor Lawrence.
TL16, after the Jags completed their 27-point comeback victory against the Chargers, decided to celebrate, as any good Southern gentleman should, by taking the party's continuation to the Wahoo. Just rode up on a Duval Wally Mart. Nope, scratch that. Waffle House. Rolled up to a Duval Wahoo and continued his celebration. I've never loved TL16 more, and I love me some TL16.
Yeah, a lot of speculation about what he actually ordered. I mean, people are spending way too much time on
What's your go-to Wahoo order? We all have one.
It's been a long time. It was probably smothered, covered, and chunked.
That's the way to go.
Yeah.
Ham and cheese omelet, side of hash browns covered in white gravy and ham, and a side order of sausage to dip in it.
That sounds like about 35,000 calories.
Oh no, it's not good. I didn't say what's your healthiest Wahoo order. I said what's your go-to, and that's my go-to.
All right. The next thing is trending is Party City.
I don't know why Party City is trending. I will tell you that Party City is a regular stopping point for one Rob Brown. Party City, are they going out of business?
They've just declared bankruptcy.
Really?
Yes.
That is very interesting to me. Party City gets visited by one Rob Brown like 5-6 times a year. In fact, we were in there. The lady friend and I were in the Party City in Charleston 2 weeks ago when we were over there getting all of our Mardi Gras decorations sorted out for this year. The house is now purple, green, and gold up for carnival season. I would have been back there in a couple of weeks because you can always find something hilarious for St. Patrick's Day in there. I'm a little taken back. Well, there's always people in PC.
Yeah, bankruptcy doesn't always mean that a business is going out of business, but it's definitely a sign that it's a possibility.
Yep. All right.
And finally, the last thing is Jay Briscoe.
Yeah, Jay Briscoe, one of the Ring of Honor Tag Team Champions, passed away in a car accident last night, which is too bad. The Briscoes were, they're entertaining as hell, man.
And apparently, his daughter is doing pretty bad too.
Hate that.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, Jay Briscoe was the Briscoe brothers, while being absolute savages as wrestlers, were apparently super nice guys. So I just hate that. Hate that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Texter says VAR has done nothing but improve professional soccer. You're damn right. And the ABS will do the same for baseball. We'll go more in depth with that tomorrow and with a heck of a lot more on the Rob Brown Show right here on the Fan Upstate. Later, brother. Yes, Waffle House employees have seen some stuff, might be the understatement of the week. If you have gone to a Wahoo, you have seen your stuff. It is part of the allure and appeal of the greatness that is the Waffle House. Thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate you guys. You are the best. We'll see you back here tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.